Alright, this video I'm going to give my recommendations on how to do a fitting on a bike, like how to properly fit and size the bike for you. When I bought the road bikes, I didn't really know much about this stuff, and the person that recommended me the size for me at the bike shop, now that I've learned more about cycling, I felt that I ended up getting the size a little bit too small for my liking. Like, it was the right size bike for me, but the frame was smaller than what I would prefer. So I have my own recommendations on how to do the fitting. But if you look on the internet, you type it in and you type in road bike sizing, there's a chart that tells you like what they recommend for you to get. But what it really boils down to is what you're comfortable with and what you prefer. But this is what they recommend. They say if you're 5'6" to 5'9", 54 centimeters to 55 centimeters. If you're 5'9" to 6 feet, 56 centimeters to 58 centimeters. If you are 6 feet to 6'3", 58 centimeters to 60 centimeters. Okay? So, one thing is, what that's measuring is from here to about right here. That's what it's measuring, right? Now, when it gets smaller, then basically the frame just gets shrunken down, and it just, sometimes the bike, when the frame is too small, it just doesn't really look that nice. And it really depends, like for me, I'm 5'5", with no shoes on. You gotta put in consideration the biking shoes, because the biking shoes will actually raise you up higher off the ground, maybe even up to 2 inches. So this is the shoes that I wear, and you notice if you're standing like this, you're actually raised off you're almost on your tippy toes. And not only are you on your tippy toes, but then there's a plastic piece underneath the shoe that raises you up even more. So in actuality, when I'm riding with these shoes on, I'm not 5'5" anymore. I end up becoming like 5'8". It's almost like an extra 3 inches, So if I look at the chart at 5'8", then 54 to 55 centimeters is the right fit for me. But if I put myself at 5'5", they ended up sizing me at a 52 centimeter, and comparing that, this is a 54, and this is what I'm comfortable with. 54 to me is like the perfect size for me. But the person that sold me to Cannondale, they ordered me a 52. And comparing the 54 to 52, I like the 54 much more. I feel that it's a bigger bike, and it just fits me more. I don't like the size to be too small. Okay, so that's one critical thing that I want to mention, because if you size yourself with no shoes on and you're 5'5", and then you put the shoes on and all of a sudden you jump up to 5'8" or 5'7", now there's going to be a difference, in your height. So I would recommend to go a little bit bigger, on the bigger side. So if you're 5'6" to 5'9", and they're saying to get a 54 or a 55, I'd say you should go for a 56. If you're 5'9", I say you should go for a 56. Okay? If you're 5'6", I say you should go for a 55 or a 54. And if you're 6 feet, I would recommend for you to go for a 58. And there's things that can be adjusted with the bike. Like, that could be, the frame is going to stay the way that it is, but what can be adjusted is you could raise the seat tube higher and lower, and then you could also move the seat forward or move it back, okay? And then you could also change the stem if you needed to make it a shorter stem or even a longer stem. So those are the types of things that can be adjusted, to really fit you the way that you want it to. You can even like lower the stem, lower here, so it's kind of drop down more. But how you can measure it is, first, you can measure from here to the seat and see how many inches that is to see where you're comfortable with. You can also measure from here up to where the seat is to see how many inches high the seat is from down here. Okay? So you can measure the seat to the handlebars, and that's pretty much what you have to figure out to adjust it. You know, you gotta move the seat forward, or you can move it back. You could change out the stem if necessary. But the first thing is just making sure that it's the right size for you. And another thing is this. When you stand over the bike, they say that there should be some clearance. I mean, that's what they're saying. You know, but here, there's really not, there is just a little clearance for me. This is a 54 and I like this size. But when you're road biking, it's not the same as like mountain biking. You're not going onto like terrain where you might fall off the bike and you're going all these bumps and all these things, all these obstacles. You're more likely to fall off the bike and slip off your pedal. So then those bikes require more clearance. The road bikes don't really require as much clearance because you're just going on a smooth road. So I have regular shoes on right now that are low to the ground, but if I have my bike shoes off, I'm going to be higher off the ground. So then that gives me more clearance. Okay? In addition, once you clip yourself onto the pedal and you're clipped on, every time you stop, you're going to disengage one pedal and then you're going to cant to the side and then one leg's going to remain on the pedal. You don't ever disengage both pedals when you're at a stoplight. So you're never really like off the bike or on the ground with both legs. You're never like that. So that's not really even a concern. You know, it's more about, okay, you know, you're going to be canted to the side, one leg on off the pedal, and it doesn't really matter like really how much clearance you have. Usually the road bikes is just about making sure that when you're riding, you're comfortable. When you're stopped at a stoplight, you're going to be fine because you're just going to be one leg off and just resting like this, and then you get ready to go again. Like I said, you're never going to stop at a stoplight with both feet on the ground flat like this. And even if you did get in an accident and a car hits you, more than likely you're not even going to be able to disengage both legs in time. You'll be lucky to get one leg off the pedal. Another leg's just going to be stuck on the pedal. You know, and from my experiences, just standing over the bike like this is not really that. It's not really that necessary of a measurement. You know, like even if you're over the bike on your tippy toes and you got those road bike shoes on, then you're still fine. You know, I just prefer a bigger bike because in addition, you know, I'm only 5'5", but a majority of the public out there, they're gonna be like 5'9", you know, like or taller. So if I purchase a bigger bike, like a 54 centimeter or 55, I retain a higher value on my bike because then I can resell it to a majority of the population. But if I buy like a really small frame bike, like a 52 or 50 centimeters, 48 centimeters, it's going to be extremely difficult to sell that bike if I wanted to sell it because there's not that many people in the population that's like 5 feet tall, 5'2", 5'1". You know, so I highly recommend somebody that's short, you know, like me, like for example, and you're 5'5", to go the bigger bike, to get a 54. Don't get a 52. Okay? Now, if you're like 5'9", you could get a 56. You know, I think you'll be fine with a 56. Maybe even a 58. You know, and that's what I recommend. You know, most bikes that will sell out there are going to be 54, 56, 58. You know, those are the ones that are going to sell the best because the majority of the people out there are taller people. You know, so I just wanted to make this recommendation because, you know, I've spent thousands of dollars on a bike that, with the frame, that I'm not really too happy with. You know, I'd be happier if the frame was bigger. You know, but they recommended the 52 to me, and that's what I ended up getting. I mean, it's fine, but if you compare it side by side, I don't have the bike with me right now, it's at home, but if you compare it side to side with the 54 looks much better. Just that extra 2 centimeters, it just makes the bike look better. Like it's just more like a full bike. The smaller frame that you get, it starts looking like a children's bike. It starts looking like a woman's bike, and that's not a good look. You know, when it comes to these types of road bikes. I ended up purchasing a 55, a used one, and I was concerned that it might not fit me because it's a 55. And so far it's fine. I mean, I ride with it just fine. It is a little bit big, but like I said, because I'm on my road bike shoes and I'm higher off the ground, I'm fine with it. When I'm pedaling, I'm fine with it. You know, so I fit the 54. The 54 is perfect for me. 55 is pushing it, but I'm still able to do the 55. 56 would be too big for me. All right, so one thing is when you're pedaling down, you're supposed to adjust the seat so then your leg is pretty much locked out. So if I'm on top of this, I'm sitting on the seat, you're supposed to pedal, and you know, when you're engaged at the bottom part of this, when your foot is engaged at the lowest point, your knee should pretty much be like straightened out. You shouldn't be so cramped up. So when you're pedaling around, it's a smooth transition, and then once you get to the lowest point, your legs should be pretty much almost locked out, and that's how you're going to maximize your efficiency when you're riding. So you're going to have to adjust the seat accordingly, up and down. And sometimes, you know, one time I had a bike where there's too much, the handlebars are too far from the seat, and then I could feel my back, feeling pain, more uncomfortable. So that's something where you got to be aware of. If the handlebars are too far away, it could cause like back pain. So you want to draw the bike closer in, and the way that you do that is you're going to have to adjust the seat, adjust it, and move it forward more. Okay, you either do that, or there's a stem right here, and then you might have to order a stem that's not as long. Like some of them maybe are like 4 inches, some are 3 inches, some are 2 inches, and then you could order a stem to make the handlebars get closer to you. Okay, so there's gonna be, it's all about comfort, like how you feel when you're riding. Are your hands too far, from you, or are they too close? So if you look at, this is how I look when I'm riding. I'm here, and then I'm here. Okay, and once you find a very comfortable position for you, then you start taking your measurements. So then if you ever buy another bike, you know how to adjust the handlebars, the seats, and everything. So, once for me, I know I'm a 54, then I'm going to shop around for a bike where I'm, 54 centimeters, and then you're going to start measuring from the top of the seat to the base right here to see exactly how many inches it is, and then you're going to measure from the seat right here to the handlebars and see exactly how many inches it is. And then those are pretty much the main measurements that you're concerned about. It's the frame of the bike, to make sure it's the right size frame for you, and then the adjustment of the seat, like high or low, and then adjustment of the seat forward and back, and then also the stem, like if you need to adjust the stem or you need to change the stem or not. But that's pretty much what I recommend. I mean, like if you're already like 6 feet tall, then no matter if you get a 58 centimeter or 60 centimeter or whatever you decide, I think the value is still going to be retained, and you can still sell the bike and get a good good amount of money back. But I'm telling you, these small bikes, like 48 centimeters and things like that, they're going to be extremely difficult to sell. And You know, there's just not a lot of people in the population that are that height that are going to even want that size of a bike. And just the aestheticness of it, the way that it looks, it doesn't look that nice when it's such a small frame. You know, so that's the main thing that I wanted people to know, is know your height, but then put in consideration the road cycling shoes. You know, these will raise you off the ground. Notice, look at how it looks. You know, the shoe, you're essentially standing on your tippy toes when you're wearing these shoes. You know, these shoes raise you off the ground higher than you normally would be. So you got a regular shoe like this, and now you got a road bike shoe that you're pretty much standing on your tippy toes, and then there's a plastic piece on the bottom that even raises you up even higher. So actually, I am not 5'5" anymore. When I put these shoes on, I'm almost like 5'8", almost, at least 5'7". So the proper fitting for me would be a 54. This is according to my experiences, and you got other people out there in the bike shops or whatever, they make their recommendations, but this is just from my personal experiences. I would prefer a bigger bike, you know, than the 52, you know, but that's just me. And another thing is, I ordered a bike for my wife. I told them her height, and they ended up buying a frame size too small for her, and the bike, it was extremely disappointing because they ordered a bike too small for her, and then they said that you can't return it, and then we're stuck with that small size frame. And then what she ended up having to do is, you know, have them switch out the stem to make it longer so she's not so cramped up, and then the seat has to go like at the highest point, you know, and that really is very annoying. You know what I mean? Like, and you have a bike that's too small for you, you can't raise the seat any higher, you know, it's just there. You know, so there's a huge problem when you order a bike that's just too small. I would rather have a bike that's a little too big than too small. You know, so just be careful, you know, when you're sizing your bike, that you size it properly, because especially if you're spending out thousands of dollars, you want to have the perfect bike, you know, that you're comfortable with. You know, always put in consideration the road bike, and then you're wearing these road bike shoes, that you're going to be taller and higher off the ground. Okay, so it's going to be a different type of fitting for the road bike than the average hybrid bike or mountain bike. Okay, these, you know, and also like I mentioned, you know, when you get off the bike on a red light, you just disengage one leg and the other leg stays engaged, so you're never going to be standing over the bike, you know, with both legs on the ground. That's not going to happen. And like I said, if you got in an accident, it's going to happen so quick that you're probably not even going to be able to disengage both feet in time, you know. So that's my video on the proper sizing and the fitting of the bike based on my experiences.